All right, let's talk web development. If you've ever looked at all the different languages and frameworks and just felt completely overwhelmed, you're definitely not alone. But what if I told you there's one tool that can cut through all that noise, one that opens up a ton of possibilities? Well, that tool is React. And in this explainer, we're going to go from zero to building your very first app. So here's the game plan. First step, we're going to talk about the React advantage, why it's such a big deal. Then we'll peek under the hood to see the magic that makes it so fast. After that, I'll show you the exact toolkit you need to get set up in minutes. We'll dive into the core concepts you'll be using constantly. And finally, we'll see how it all comes together to build a real working project. Okay, let's kick things off with the big question. You've got all these options out there, right? Vue, Angular, Svelte. So why on earth is React the one that so many developers pick up first? And let's be real for a second. All the jargon, the endless choices, the sheer complexity of it all, it's enough to make your head spin. But that's exactly the problem React was built to solve. It was designed to slice right through that noise with a much simpler, more focused way of doing things. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Let's talk numbers, because this next one, it's a pretty big deal. So what does that 42% actually mean? It means that a huge chunk of professional developers, we're talking almost half, use React. This is according to the Stack Overflow Developer Survey, which is basically the biggest programming survey on the planet. For years, it's been the framework developers want to learn the most, and for you, that dominance translates to more jobs, way more online support, and a massive community to help you out when you get stuck. And that reach is exactly why this is so important for you. See, learning React isn't just about making websites. It's the heart of something called the MERN stack, which is a super popular way to build entire applications. It's also your ticket to building actual mobile apps with React Native. Honestly, it's a skill that lets you build for pretty much any platform you can think of. Okay, so now we know why it's so popular. But what about the how? Let's dive into the magic happening underneath the hood, the thing that makes React so unbelievably fast and efficient. It really all boils down to one key idea, something called the virtual DOM. And honestly, the concept is way simpler than it sounds. See, instead of directly messing with the actual web page, which can be kind of slow, React keeps a super fast, lightweight copy of it in its memory. Just think of it like a blueprint. So imagine this, something changes in your app. Let's say you click a like button. Now, instead of freaking out and redrawing the whole screen, React just doesn't. Instead, it quickly whips up a new virtual blueprint. It then compares that new blueprint to the old one, finds the one single thing that changed, and then, and this is the key part, it only updates that tiny little piece on the actual page. Here's a great way to think about it. Imagine you have a giant mosaic wall, and you just want to change one single tile. You wouldn't repaint the entire wall, right? That'd be crazy. You'd just pop out the old tile and put in the new one. That's exactly what React does. And that is the secret to why React apps feel so snappy and responsive. All right, enough of the theory. Let's get our hands dirty. It's time to get practical. I'm going to walk you through the exact toolkit you need to get your computer ready for development. And seriously, you can be up and running in just a few minutes. Believe it or not, it's really just 3 simple steps. First, you'll need to install something called Node.js. That's basically the engine that lets your computer run JavaScript. Second, you'll need a good code editor. Something like VS Code is perfect and free. And third, we're going to use a fantastic tool called Vite to create our first project in like seconds. Now, let's talk about Vite for a sec. This thing has totally taken over as the new industry favorite, and for very good reason. It's built from the ground up for modern JavaScript. That means you get lightning-fast speed while you're coding, and when you're ready to show your app to the world, it creates these super optimized, efficient files. And check this out. Getting started is as simple as one single command. You literally just open up your computer's terminal, type npm create Vite at latest, hit enter, answer maybe 2 questions, and bam, Vite builds out a complete, ready-to-go React project for you. It is honestly that fast. Okay, so our project is all set up. Now what? What are the actual pieces we're going to use to build our app? Let's break down the core concepts, the absolute fundamentals you have to know. First up, components. Everything, and I mean everything, in React is built out of these things. The easiest way to think of them is like Lego bricks for your user interface. You've got a brick for a button, a brick for a search bar, a brick for a navigation menu. Now, you might see some older code that uses these clunky things called class components. But today, we use simple, clean functions. It's way easier to read, and it's the standard for any new React app you build. Okay, so if our components are just functions, you're probably wondering, how do we get data into them? Well, that's where props come in. It's short for properties, and you can think of them exactly like arguments you'd pass to any other function. A parent component can send data down to a child, things like a username, an image link, whatever. And this is what makes our little Lego bricks dynamic and reusable.
Right, so props are for passing data down. But what happens when a component needs to remember something on its own? Like how does it keep track of whether a drop-down menu is open or what you've typed into a search box? How does it remember stuff? The answer to that question is state. You can think of state as a component's own private memory. It's like its little brain. It's any piece of information that belongs to that component and might change over time, exactly like the text in that search bar. And here's the really cool part. Anytime that state changes, React is smart enough to automatically update the screen to show the new information. You don't have to do it manually.
So how do we actually give our components this brain? We do it using something called a hook. Hooks are just special functions that let you, well, hook into React's built-in features, like state. The main one you'll use all the time is called useState. It's probably the most important hook to learn and one of the most powerful tools in your entire React toolkit. All right, we've talked about the why, the how, and the core building blocks, so now it's time for the payoff. Let's put all this together and see the kind of awesome, professional-looking app you can build using just the concepts we've covered. And we're not talking about some simple hello world thing here. Using what we just went over, you can build a full-blown movie app. It can pull real data from a live movie database. You'd use state to handle what the user is typing in the search bar. Then you'd use props to pass that movie data down to the components that display everything on screen. This is a real, legit project. And that right there is the real takeaway. Learning React isn't just about learning another library. It's about becoming that super versatile, Swiss Army knife kind of developer. The kind who can confidently jump on a web project, a mobile app, or really whatever the future throws at you. So there you have it. You've seen how it works, you've seen the tools you need, and you've seen what's possible. Really, there's only one question left to ask. What are you going to build first?